What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today we've got the CCS Toys Gunbuster. This is the celebration of the 35th anniversary of Gunbuster. So we're going to be taking a look at that today. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's go. All right, so we're going to take a look at the box first. So of course, you have the front of Gunbuster. This is the front of the box. This is the top. So it looks like it's either in Chinese or Japanese. I can't really tell. But yeah, as you can see, this thing is really thick. So it's got a lot of stuff in here. So this is the bottom. So as you can see, it's a pretty relatively simple box design. This is the side, and it's the same on both sides. This is the back. So as you can see, it's quite long. Pause. But yeah, it's quite long and it's quite thick. So we've got a lot to get into today. So let's take a look and see what's inside. Next, let's take a look at what they got inside. So of course, first you have this kind of like slip cover, and that probably should have been your box art right there. I think that's amazing artwork. I do like that a lot. And it goes on the sides. So it's pretty big. You also, on the inside, you have like a drawing of the Gunbuster. So that's pretty cool. I really like that a lot. Actually, that probably would have been great box art. That's what it looks like. But really, it just comes in the box just like how I have it. So that's how you see it. So that's what we've got for the slip cover. So of course, first we've got the manual. All right. So you've got the manual there. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. You've got the Gunbuster. He's looking pretty big. He's looking really big. I would say, just eyeballing him, he's at least 12 to 13 inches maybe. You got the cape. You got the Azuma kick effect. You got the bat. You've got the power core there. So you got quite a bit here. We have all of his accessories. These are the shoulder parts here. You've got the two axes here and here. This is for the double collider. So you've got all of that stuff in there as well. So looks pretty good. Nothing on the back. Okay. So we've got that. And then we've got his stand. So that's a nice little stand. Gunbuster. Aim for the top, Gunbuster. So if you have not seen the show, I recommend you watch it. It's like 6 episodes. It's like 6 to 8 episodes. I can't remember how many episodes it is, but it's actually not very long. So, but it's really, really good. So that is the stand. And then now you have all the effect parts for the double collider. Okay, so you've got all that stuff in there. And from what I understand, these are connected by magnets. So you have 2 sheets of these. Okay, so you got that and that. Okay, so we'll be taking a look at that shortly. And then these are the extra hands here and here, probably the connection for the backpack there and there. So looks pretty good. Buster missiles. Okay, even though I think in the anime these were like the tips were kind of like white, but that's pretty close. So that's got that there. And then you've got the head, all right, with the crest or the crown. And then you've got the rib cage here. And that looks like it's part of the stand. This is probably stuff for the cape. That's the backpack there. I think these are on the forearms there. And then you've got the Azuma kick stuff there too. So that's what you've got for that. So let's take a look at the manual next. Next, let's take a look at the manual. So yeah, aim for the top, Gunbuster. Looks really awesome. This is, if you haven't seen the show, this is one of the signs when they came back to Earth after quite a long time. But I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. So what we've got here, let's take a look and see what we got. This is the accordion style. If I can open it, here we go. So of course, there's all your parts count. So as you see, Gunbuster comes with a lot of accessories. So even though he didn't use a lot of these in the show, but he did, he's been in Super Robot Wars quite a bit. And so they gave him a lot of extra stuff that he didn't actually have in the show. Even though if you look really closely, like I think the bat is in there and I think the axe is in there, if I'm not mistaken. there is a shot of it. If I can find it, I'll post it right now. But yeah, there's a shot of that. So you got that there. It's got the instructions as far as putting on the head and the shoulders and stuff like that. Now, this one actually does light up. So I'm going to be very interested to see how that goes. Maybe they can sway me with light gimmicks. But yeah, so you've got a lot of stuff here. This is all in either Chinese or Japanese. I don't really see that much English on here. So you've got that. You also got his poses here for the Azuma kick and the stand and all of that. So that's what we've got for the manual. Now let's get all of his accessories out. I'll take them out of the clamshell and we'll take a look at those next. Next, let's take a look at his accessories. He's got quite a bit. So first, we're going to take a look at some of these. So first, we're going to go over the Buster shield. So the Buster shield pretty much it's 3 main parts and then 1 alternate part. So this is the main back. You'll actually just put this on the back and we'll kind of go through that when we do put all this stuff on. But this is molded hard plastic. So it's not going to move, but I do love the detail. All right. So you've got 3 pieces here. So this is your main piece. These are the 2 pieces that go on the sides. All right. So same deal, hard plastic. It does have some flexibility, but not much. You're not going to really be able to use that for anything. So you've got that one and then you've got this one here. So same thing, that would just connect to the 2 sides here, the metal pieces here, and we'll do that later. And then this one is actually for when he actually pulls the Buster shield across him like a cape. And so what you've got is you've got a hand in here that's kind of molded in there. So you got a hand that goes in there and you'll actually plug that in and we'll do that a little later. But yeah, so those are your 4 parts of the cape. Then we have the Buster tomahawks. So he actually never did use these in the show, even though it is briefly shown during the transformation. But he never really used these in the show, but he did use these in Super Robot Wars. So you've got this. These are your Buster tomahawks. And then you've actually got a connector piece here if you want to do the double Buster tomahawk like that. So, so it looks good, really nicely molded and done. So you've got the Buster tomahawks. Then we have the Buster home run. So this pretty much is a baseball bat. All right. So this one actually does light up as well. And this was also another one that was in Super Robot Wars. He actually never did use this in the show. But if you know the story of Gunbuster, you know why a bat is the weapon of choice. All right. So, but for that, you would actually put that in here. Boom, Buster home run. That light is actually on. So you can see that, and that's magnetized. So that is the Buster home run. So we have this is actually the spikes that go on his feet for the Azuma kick. So you've got that. This actually is going to be held on by magnets. So I actually do like magnets a little bit more than pegs and stuff, just because pegs can break. So the fact that these are using magnets is really good detail work there. So on the spikes and stuff like that. So you've got that. And then ultimately what you would do for this, you'd actually bring in the effect part and then just snap that on there. And then you actually put that to his foot. So that is the effect parts for the Azuma kick. Then we have the actual parts for the Buster Collider. So this was seen in episode 4 and 5. So you actually have these parts here. Now you get 8 of these, even though I'm only showing 2 right now, just to kind of show you what he actually gets. But you actually get 8 of these. They're pretty much the same size. I haven't been able to notice a difference at all. And then these are also magnetized as well. So these will go in his arms and legs, and we'll do that later on. And then you have the actual effect parts for the Buster Collider and double Buster Collider. So you've got those. These are also magnetized as well, if I can get that to focus. And here is actually, these are also magnetized as well. So you've got a magnet at the top there, but you'll actually put those in. So we'll actually do that a little bit later. So that's what you got for the effect parts for the Buster Collider and double Buster Collider. Next, so let's take a look at his hands. So the first set you actually have are the holder hands, and these are for the Buster Tomahawk and the Buster Home Run. So you can use these interchangeably. So you've got these. You also have these as well, and these will actually double for the Buster Home Run and the Buster Tomahawks as well. So you've got that. So you've got a second set there, so you could use those. Then you have the Buster Missile hands, and these are actually a little bit different than they were in the anime. In the anime, they were actually like white or gray towards the bottom, and then they had like a design at the top that was red. But, you know, all in all, still very good. So those are your Buster Missiles. And then these are the other set of the Buster Missile hands. So you've got those as well. Now, of course, these don't move. These are stationary, so they won't move at all, but you can use those. Then you actually have the homing laser hands, and these double as the homing laser, and they're actually articulated. These are, so you can actually bend these down as well. Okay. But he also has the little homing laser thing right there. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, so you have the homing laser hands and the articulated hands. So you've got that set. And then this last one is for the core. So when you actually are trying to grab the core, so you do that, and then what you'll do is you'll just take this and then put this in here. All right. And then that is your core there. So if you've seen the last episode of Gunbuster, you actually see him pull the core out of his chest. It is kind of disgusting, but but it definitely has the 80s / early 90s gore for anime. But this was really cool. So you've got those hands as well. And then you actually have like the rib cage. So we'll actually get into how you put that on. But ultimately, this would like go through the chest here. And actually, you probably want to put it in through this way. There you go. And then he would have it like that. And then you would actually put the hand in here, just like this. Okay. So you would hold on to that like that. So, and then the rib cage, and we'll do that here in a little bit, but yeah, so you've got that. So you've got the rib cage as well. So that's what we've got for accessories. Now let's actually take a look at Gunbuster himself. Next, so let's take a look at this Gunbuster. So of course, as you can see, this is a gloss finish that he's got, and this is in his classic gray color. Usually for Gunbuster robots, they tend to come in two colors. They either come in the classic gray like this, or they come in a navy blue. I like both of them. To be honest, I kind of like the blue a little bit better than navy blue, but I do like this classic gray look. So you've got that. So then we actually have his head. So as you can see, he has a very unique head, and unfortunately it will limit his head movement because of these two side pieces here and here. But as you see, you've got a lot of detail work in the eye there. And then for his crown, this will go on there. This one is not magnetized, so this just plugs in there, but you will have to be careful with that. Okay. And then you got the neck piece that actually does move up and down. So that'll give him a little bit more room for the head. And then you'll take a look at his shoulders here. Got quite a bit of detail work in here. And then you've also got like a missile pod thing. So for that, what you're actually gonna do is you're gonna take this and pull this down like that. And then those missile parts will come in there. So that's a pretty cool gimmick. I wasn't expecting that. So you've got that for the arms. So for his shoulders, he actually does have batteries in the shoulders and in the back. And so you've got a lot of stuff going on here, but you got really, really good detail work, really good paint finish. That's your actual rib cage there, and those are magnetized there and there. So you've got that. Then you have the back. So you can actually pull these pieces out. All right, and then you can pull this out as well. And then those are where the batteries are. Okay. And then for the inside of the shoulders, you've got a lot of good detail work in here. Also, the batteries are up here. So you would pull these out. right? And those are your batteries right there. So, and those are magnetized there. So that just snaps right back in there. And then what you'll do is you'll open that up and boom, those are the lights. So you got that on that side and that on that side. So you got both lights there. So that's really cool. I really do like that. And the fact that that slides up and down, I really do like that. And because Gunbuster is actually created from like 2 different ships, and this was one part of the ship. And so those are really cool that they have those lit up. So you've got a lot of good detail work in here. And then you can also do that on the legs as well as far as the missile parts go. So you can actually take those and flare these out just like that. And those lasers or missile pods come out. So that's a really cool gimmick. I like that a lot. So that's what you've got there. Here. The feet are pretty good as well. You do have a little bit there, but we'll do that in the articulation. But really good solid piece as far as detail work is done. This is a really nice looking Gunbuster. So we've got a lot of good things to look forward to. So let's first do his articulation next. Next, let's take a look at his articulation. So first things first, let's take a look at his head here. So as I said earlier, he's going to be limited as far as how far he can move his head. He can kind of move it a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, but unfortunately, just because of the design of that, he's not going to be able to get turned that far. Now, he does have a good neck piece right in here, and so he can look relatively up like that, and he can look down. But like I said, it unfortunately is just the design itself that makes that head not be able to really do that much. Now, what I probably would have done maybe have this to where this can raise up so you can actually turn it a little bit. I don't know. I don't know how you would do that from a design perspective, but that's what you've got for the head. Then for the shoulders, this actually will move because this is on a separate joint there. So you can move that back and forth. This will also go in, but of course you're going to be hitting his head. Okay, so you've got that there. And if you look, let me turn this down. I don't know if you can see that, but if you look there, this is where the shoulder piece is connected. And then, so you've got this on its own separate joint. And then you actually have the arm right here. So what you're going to do, let's put this back normal. So, because the thing about Gunbuster really is, to me, I always consider Gunbuster to be like the 70s, the late 70s and early 80s super robot shows. And so he has a lot of like round stuff, kind of like Mazinger, Getter, Robo and all of that. So, you know, he's got quite a bit as far as the design goes. But as far as this articulation, just due to that design, unfortunately, I don't know how far you're going to be able to raise this arm. So, you know, and he's got these 2 pieces that are in the way here and here. So that's just part of the design. But that's what you've got for the shoulder. And then let's raise this down. Now for his bicep, this will turn 360. Okay, so you've got that there. And then he can do a decent elbow bend there. So he's got a decent elbow bend right there. Not too bad considering how round this is. And if you look here, they actually have this indentation, so that'll actually go in there a little bit further than it would if he was just round. So pretty good for them as far as that. Now, as far as the forearm, there's not really anything that he's going to be able to do with that. And that's just due to the fact that these panels will open up when you're doing the collider. So for his hand or the wrist, he does have quite a bit of articulation there. So he's actually got like a little ball joint here that's round. And so, you know, move this up, down, left, right. So it's not a ton of articulation in the wrist, but he's got enough. And I think that it'll be quite comparable. So that's what you've got for the wrist. Then for the midsection, he actually has quite a good rock there. So he can bend all down like that. Unfortunately, he can look up, but not, you know, he's got a decent one there. So he's got that. He's also has some side to side. So the thing about this guy is pretty much all die cast. It's so heavy. Pause. But yeah, so he can actually do the side there. He's got a little side there. So he's got some room there. Then, can he do 360 in the midsection? He can, but you're gonna have to kind of move his skirts out of the way. But he can do it. So let's turn him all the way. And so you can get 360 out of him. Well, that's pretty spectacular considering how heavy he is and the fact that you've got a lot of die cast and metal in the midsection. So you've got that. Then for the waist, he's actually got as far as he's got his front skirt, so that will move up. Now, so for the side skirts, you actually got quite a big range of movement because it's on this little bar. So the actual like ball joint is in the back there. So you can move this up and down, okay? And you can actually spin this side skirt as well. But yeah, so you actually do have quite a bit of range of motion for the sides. And then for the back, you actually don't get any movement out of the back skirts, unfortunately. So that's okay, though. I think considering he may not need it just due to how his legs are designed. So not too bad for the waist. Now for the legs, he can actually move this up quite a bit. All right, so he can move that leg way up there, right around 90 degrees. He might even get a little bit higher just due to the ab thing there. So you've got quite a bit there. You've also got a really good knee bend there. So you've got all this work in here, and that looks like that whole knee joint is die cast. So you've got that, and then he can also raise that and go up behind. So you've got that. Unfortunately, you probably could get further if this back skirt actually moved, but it doesn't. So you've got that there. For the feet, he actually does have some decent toe articulation there. It will move from side to side. You got some decent ankle rock there and there. Now you actually can spin the foot 360, but actually the peg in there, it'll actually loosen that up, and so the whole foot will come off, but you can do it. So I don't know why you'd want to do that, but it can do that. So that's what you've got for the feet. So that's what you have for articulation. Now let's actually put some of his accessories on and we'll go from there. Next, we're actually going to start putting all of his stuff on him. So first things we have here first is the cape. So as you can see, this cape makes this thing look even better. It's only connected by 3 parts. So these are the 2. These actually will move, so you can actually move these around. And then really how you put this on, you just kind of plug it into the backpack, and then you take these parts and put those back on. And these are on adjustable joints. Now, as far as like his stance, he can actually stand pretty good, but this thing is loaded with die cast. So he is extremely heavy. And once I put the cape on, he did kind of want to tumble back. He does have a stand, and I will be using that in another pose that he's got, but I really do like this cape. I think this cape is amazing. The amount of detail work and stuff that it has on there, it just makes it look so much better. Now, the thing about the show is he actually only used this once. It was in episode 5. So if you haven't seen that, you can look that up, but it's pretty good. So we'll actually put the other piece on. And so this is the Buster shield. This is pretty much how he used it in the show. So he would literally pull it out of his back, and Noriko, which is the main character, she would scream out Buster shield. And literally this is kind of like a cloak, and it would block all the incoming rounds. So it wasn't very difficult to put on. All you have to do is really pull the hand off and then put this in. I actually would probably recommend that you pull the shoulder off just so you have a little bit of room to mess with this thing, because since these are kind of stationary pieces, they don't really, they're not that flexible. But I think this is actually a really good shot. I like that cloak. I think that shield is really good. So this is the Buster shield. So this one is the Azuma kick. So of course this is straight from the anime. Really good representation. And actually the base is actually pretty good for this. He actually has a piece that he slides into the bottom of his, the bottom there, which is right here. And so it's pretty sturdy. I'd say the only thing about this though, that I've noticed, that because the Gunbuster is so heavy, like he will spin on this thing. Now that bar goes up there deep enough that I don't think he'll fall off, but that is something that you want to be cognizant of. So, you know, it's pretty cool. And, you know, with this, you can actually take this piece off. There's a magnet that comes in through these two here, and you really just place it right there, and boom, it's just like that. So that is the Azuma kick. I think it translates as the lightning kick. But yeah, so this was actually really awesome to see in the show. And I'm like the fact that this is actually has the articulation to pull it off. So, you know, so that's what you've got for the Azuma kick. So this is the Double Buster Collider. So Noriko actually used this twice in the show. Once where she just used the hands, and then one where she used the hands and the feet. It's actually a pretty good, I think it's episode 5 if I'm not mistaken, because I think it's only 6 episodes. But yeah, so this actually looks really, really good. Putting them in there because they're sealed or put together by magnets. Now the thing I will say is with these, so as you can see, I think that this magnet is a little small, so it actually doesn't hold on quite well. I wish this had been a little bit bigger so they would stick on, because actually just putting this stuff on, a lot of these were falling off. So you've got that. But, you know, other than that, I think it looks amazing. So I mean, but ultimately, I think this is amazing. It looks amazing. A lot of his effects were like lightning effects and stuff like that. So this actually looks really, really good. So I like the Double Buster Collider. And here you have the dual axis. So this one he actually did not use in the show, but he did use this in Super Robot Wars. So that's what you have. So he can hold them with both hands. You have hands for both. And so you can do some pretty interesting posing with that. So those are your dual axes. And then you have the Buster Home Run. So of course you can kind of see the lighting effect. It's kind of pulsating. Some of that's just my camera, but it is actually pulsating. So I just wanted to turn off some of my lights so you could kind of see that. So that's pretty cool as well, I must admit. And the fact that everything is kind of held together with magnets, I'm all for that. So that's what you have for the Buster Home Run. And lastly, we actually have the power cell or power generator for Gunbuster. So I have the lights on so you can see that. We'll take this big light off so you can kind of see that pulsating. You can kind of see the light in the eyes. That one is relatively small, but you can see it there. So you have that power core out, and then we'll do that here. And lastly, we have the power core when he takes that out. So let's turn off the light so we can see the lighting in there. So that's what it'll kind of look like in the dark. So it looks pretty solid, I must admit, even though it is kind of gross. But but if you've actually seen the last episode of Gunbuster, that's where this actually happens. So without going into the story, but it is actually pretty awesome to see. So, and lastly, I wanted to show you what it looked like with all of his lights on. So let me cut off my main lights here. Okay, and so you've got the light in the center, of course. You've got the light in the eyes right here. And then you do have the lights on the shoulders here and here. So you've got that. So it's a pretty decent light. It kind of suffers from what I've said in the past as far as lighting is concerned, that to me it's not personally bright enough. This would have to be in a really dark spot. But I think overall, I think it's still an interesting gimmick to have, even though it's not personally my favorite. But I think for certain things like this, they definitely did as much as they could with the lighting. So that's what you've got for the lights. Now we'll get into final thoughts. So last thoughts on this guy. Man, what an amazing set this is. It has everything that you could ask as a Gunbuster fan. The articulation is great. You have the lighting effects. You have all of his weapons. So the dual blades, the Buster Home Run, the list goes on and on and on. Has a lot of die cast in him. I love the Buster Shield. This is probably how I will have him displayed. Now, there are a couple of issues as far as like when you do the Double Buster Collider, a lot of those lightning effects, those things, those magnets on this thing are a little weak. I would say that's probably my only major gripe about it, especially the little parts. Unfortunately, I don't think that those magnets are strong enough. And then also, I mean, you could have done something as far as the Buster laser. You could have had an effect for that. You could have had an effect for the homing laser as well. And then I actually would have liked to have seen the Gynex pose where his arms are folded. I would have actually liked to have seen that done a little bit better in this. That is kind of his quintessential pose, and the fact that he can do it and it looks okay, and I've definitely seen worse, but I think if they had done it the way with the alternate destiny, where you had the alternate arms, that you could actually have those hooked together, I think that that would have put this amazing. But outside of those things, I have no complaints about this guy. He's heavy. He's really heavy, and he takes up a lot of space. So if you are a Gunbuster fan, I say pick this up. And the fact also, the price point, I paid $230 for this. I have got figures that I pay double, almost triple that can't do what this thing can do. So this is an amazing, amazing piece. So out of 10 stars, this is a 10, straight up. So that's what I've got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.